It was good.
I want to send a special shout out to my friend, my childhood friend, Boma, that is here.
Mhm.
Boma is or was
Who
a
Boma
senior
help?
special advisor to the Senate president.
All
So I
all
called
this
him on the phone.
political
I
talk.
told him
I
I'm coming
tell
to
you,
politics.
God.
Please come
please,
in.
please, please,
Come in.
please.
He's here.
If Boma is not doing giveaway, we don't care. Boma, come and do giveaway for boys.
We don't do giveaway in APC. You work and
Who
get your money.
Bumahed?
See,
All right, three
hi God.
people are here.
Dano,
Imagine, I want you guys to imagine something, right? Imagine if this is the episode that kicks off your political career. They'll now be like, once you're now in office, they'll now trace you back to that Daper episode that you did that people were like, Monday gets sense, praise gets sense. So I want you guys to show working today. Today we're talking about Ibrahim
pressure,
Traore.
pressure. Which kind of
There's
pressure?
pressure, high pressure. Show
Thank God you
working
mentioned
today.
only Monday and
No,
Faith.
because the truth is, you and me is only U.S. politics. After Donald Trump, that's where your knowledge stops. Praise has always been championing African politics and has aspirations to be a politician. So we love it for you. Monday, on the other
Nah,
hand,
man.
was the one that even got me across Ibrahim Traore. And I was like, okay, this is our African brother doing something fantastic. Praise, I'll pass it on
Fantabulous.
to you to do the introduction.
I
This
think
is your
I
segment.
think just to put like the record straight,
Yeah.
right? I'm I'm not a politician and
Yet.
I don't aim to be one,
Not yet.
right? No, I don't even aim to be one because I don't like how they roll, right? I am a believer of change, right? And lately I've been a preacher of hope. That's actually one of the reasons why I'm on this call. So and I think it's something that we need to discuss and bring more awareness so that people like press, right? Peradventure, if they get into that position, they can be thinking the right way. Because now I think the first question I can shoot to praise, let's start with before we even dive into Ibrahim Traore, right? Let's use plain what is happening in Nigeria, right? Now, the latest thing now that's happening is people cross carpeting from PDP to APC, okay? Which I don't have any problem because all these politicians they are the same anyways. But now what that means is for sure, right? Tinubu is going for second term, okay? And then so I'm just trying to build up a case here before I launch like the main question for president. It's not like, and I think we'll start from there, okay? So I know press just the way to make a lala. It's making fire me. So
Emmanuel,
everything
please
that's
post the
happening,
topic.
everything that's happening, it's leading to Tinubu getting to second term. Okay. But we can see clearly the corruption that's happening in this guy's tenure. Okay. So I think the question I wanted to ask now, Press, let's assume you get into power, or let's say you have an appointment or you get a contract, and the contract now is they've awarded you the contract to come and install solar in a hospital, or for example, what happened in the presidential villa. And they tell you that that project, we want to budget 10 billion naira for that project. And you know very well that that project will take you nothing more than 50 million or 100 million. What will you do in that case? Because I'm asking that question because when you get into politics and especially African politics, this is what happens, right? That is where, and if people, like especially the youth, they are not having the right mentality, and I'll tell you eventually when we discuss, I'll get to tell you what is really causing all this corruption and mess in Africa or in Nigeria. But yeah, praise if you get into that position, because I know you're aspiring, probably you get into politics. What would you do different if they award you that contract, 10 billion for something that you do for 50 million or 100 million? What would you do? And you can kickstart from there and we can start discussing.
It's very interesting when we bring you on here as a guest. You won't come to stress you. You know the way there. This is Daper TV. You are talking to the big three. You want to
No,
ask me? You want me to say
answer
but
question. You know, this is your game, right?
you
So
are forgetting.
I
Yeah.
want you to shine now. You know, shine on your game,
Not
right?
even that. I know. I like to tell you. I like to tell you, like,
Mm,
look, man. At the end of the day, we are all politicians. So whether you are a practicing politician or you are just sit down and watch and look, because at the end of the
mm.
day, human beings are all politicians. So you could even be playing politics in your house,
Yeah,
or
true.
at church, at work. Everywhere is politics. You have favorites. That's politics. You know what I mean? But you being an actual leader and running a state or running a local government, running everywhere, that's a different kind of politics. But then again, if you are being awarded the contract, you are not just going to sit at your house and then you are awarded the contract. There's something called tender.
Mm.
You are sure that you can do this project, and then the ministry kind of just shoot the project out, and then contractors obviously lobby, which it happens everywhere in the country. How much can you do this job? You put in a tender, and if your tender is 10 billion, it's 10 billion.
No, your tender, like you can do obviously with contracts, right? You have to put in your profit. So
This is
you
no,
can
this is
let's
not
assume
this is not politics now. I'm trying to argue a business case. You know what
Chris,
I mean?
okay.
Like,
all he's trying to find out is would you do the right thing? That's
absolutely.
all.
Exactly, your
Why not?
Don't beat around
integrity.
the
That
bush.
is
Why
that's
We
it.
use
no, the thing
what
that
like it's very simple. Let's not spend too much time on trying to tender this that. No. They've given this
I
overpaid
just
you for
want to know
something.
what you do
What are you
because
going to do with the
I
extra
will.
there
money?
is this is the average African.
See, at the end of the day, you cannot really just use, what Mr. This did to paint everybody. You cannot use one brush to paint everybody.
It's
You
a
know what I mean?
question. Nobody's painting
What would you
anybody.
do?
Why would I do the right thing? I've been doing the right thing before
What is
I would even
the
come
right
into
thing?
politics. The right thing is doing the right thing. If I am being awarded the contract of 100 billion to do freaking solar, putting solars, I'm gonna have to, from a project management perspective, I will put in
Oh my
how
God.
much I want to
This guy
do.
is
And
just
if I'm
a
being awarded
serious
that, I'm awarded
politician.
that.
That is it.
That's what I mean. If I'm being
The,
awarded that, I'm awarded that. That's what
now,
I'm gonna use to do the
Press is
contract.
just being a typical politician
What
here,
do you mean
right?
I'm
The
being a typical,
question,
but that's the truth.
Okay,
the
so
question
Sunday.
here
So
is
wait,
Let's forget about the
sorry.
question.
No, Emmanuel,
Yeah.
sorry. Before we skip us, it's a very good question, right? However, all these things are subjective, and I feel like why I like this question is it will set the temperature for what we're about to talk about. I want
exactly.
us to be honest on this call, right? An example is if you find a wallet with $2,000 on the floor, what would you do with it? Now, everybody on this call will pretend that they will return the money, they will find the owner, and we're speaking from a place of privilege. If you are hungry, you will use that $2,000 to solve your family problems. If your child is sick and you find money on the floor, you will use that money to treat your child. Now, somebody who already has money will find the owner of that money. So let's be real that all of these things is subjective. You cannot
But
entrust money to somebody who is hungry
Yeah,
or
but
Adams,
greedy.
I think
I don't agree with the fact that it's only people that are rich that will return that money. Haven't you
yes,
heard of cases that
yeah.
bus driver, someone forgot dollars in the trunk of their car, they trace the person back and they returned that
I
money?
didn't say rich. I'm telling you that that bus driver has food in his house. If that bus driver
But,
was hungry,
Adams, let's even forget about the wallet, right? He's talking about praise is applying for something.
mhm.
Corruption is that we overpay people for things they apply for because we know each other,
But that's
right? So
what
that's the
Praise was
corruption.
talking about. The
And
tender
then
process. What
no,
is
but
the tender
we
process?
don't
Why would
even
you
care about
overpay
the tender
someone?
process at this point. We don't care about the tender process,
What do you
right?
mean you
Because
don't care
we
about the
already
tender
know.
process? I don't
Let me
understand
finish.
what you
Let me
care about.
land.
Yeah, see, this
I
is
land
No,
to
because
understand.
at the end
Wait,
of the day,
You're
you are
let,
coming
very
from a
Prince,
point
you're
of
beating
view.
around the
I'm
bush.
not
That's my
beating
problem,
yes.
around the
right?
bush. I'm just
Forget
telling you,
about why are you talking about tender?
So
Like
praise,
what does tender have to do with
even this
anything?
tender that you are
So
talking
what?
at,
So what? You
this
think
this
Nigeria doesn't
tender.
do tenders? You think Nigeria
So
doesn't do
wait,
tenders?
wait. Okay, let me
Every
tell you.
I'm not. It
Let me
doesn't
elaborate.
matter if they do tenders or not. We don't care about the process.
No, no,
We
no, no,
are
no.
you
saying
swimming? Why you
Ini,
swimming?
no,
Why
no.
let me
why are you
land.
swimming?
Prince,
Let me
Let me
play
tell
the
you how
tender
it
game with
works.
praise.
What's
Let me
going
play
on?
the tender game with praise. So the guy that
It's not
does
a
solar,
game.
wait
It's a
now,
business process.
wait.
Get
The
it
guy,
right.
and I think I've explained this thing to either you or Adams before. The guy that does solar for my dad, right? He's the one that did the solar in E Library in Akwa Ibom State, right? When he they told him, okay, everybody submit this tender thing that you're talking, submit your proposal. He submitted his proposal for 10 million naira, that he's going to do that project for 10 million. The commissioner told him, what proposal is this? That this proposal that you're submitting, this tender, like Praise said, that his own cost is 50 million from that project that is on, and then from that project, the chairman, local council chairman will chop. You need to sort this one, you need to sort this one. Eventually, they quoted that thing for over 100 million or 150. That guy couldn't walk away from that project. It's not like he couldn't, but that is the average Nigerian, right? It's because there are two things, like you said, there are two main things that causes corruption and how things are. Poverty and greed. That is what is the problem. That's the main problem of Africa. So in that man's case, it's not like he does not even have money. He has food to eat, but he wants more, right? That greed, he cannot say no. I won't, or this is I'm a good man. This is not okay. Let's even do 50 million or thereabouts. But because he wants to get that money, he will just accept it. So in the case of Praise, I want to know if he would have said, because I've seen people that will say, I wouldn't do this. I won't accept that.
No. I cannot. I wait now. I cannot comment on that. We are on live.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So we can move on.
Why you go to talk? You don't put allegedly. You want to make a comment? Are you okay?
Okay, let's move on. We can move on.
Moving on.
To keep decorum, right? Obviously, I know one wants to talk about politics. It's easy to point out the problems in Nigeria, the problems in Africa. All of us on this call know the problem. So please, this is not an episode to rehash the problems. Let's just see what solutions we have, and then let's try to identify the causes of these problems. Not the problems, forget the problem, we already know. And then what most importantly we want to talk about today is Ibrahim Traore. Now, from my perspective, I've only done maybe 5 to 15 minutes of research on this guy. However, he seems to be what Africa needs. I've been talking for a long time that democracy is not for Africans. Africans need strong hand. They need an iron fist. They need a dictator that has their interest at heart. This guy seems to be that. And people are celebrating it. I hope he's successful. However, Monday, I want to pass it on to you to just introduce us and the audience to who Ibrahim Traore is, and basically an overview of what he's doing. Then we'll now start to ask questions and dig a bit deeper.
Okay. Yeah, I think most people, if you ask, let's say, the average youth that's on the internet now, right, who Ibrahim Traore is, at least they would know he's that president of Burkina Faso that's, pulling weight, he chased fans out, and he's trying to, do a lot of things for his people. Okay. So, and why he's making waves is, I think, is because of the changes that he's implemented. So to even start, why sometimes when you mentioned, oh, let's discuss about the solution and things like that, sometimes people might say the system is already rigged. And like you said, democracy might not be for Nigeria. So even if we might be discussing the solution, but how would we even implement it? To me, like I said, I'm a believer of, I'm preaching hope and change to come. And Ibrahim Traore is kind of like a clear, let me say, is a clear example that actually, it might actually take just one person in the right position that can have the right mindset, the right integrity, just one person, and that change can kickstart. It might take years to come, but just one person. And I think that's also why I asked that question, because the other countries, not only Burkina Faso that did coup, Mali did coup, there are other countries that did coup. Why are we not hearing about them? What are they doing, right? But it's just this man has decided to implement a lot of changes, and I can start listing a couple I think the first one that stood out to me was him knowing that they need lights. He started tackling light, right? They are working. He worked on this whole solar panel, and I think most of these things, most people might say, are they even true? Because they might even look too real to be true. But then again, when you watch some videos on YouTube that actually video these things, then you might believe, okay, it's actually true. He worked on solar grids to provide power, right, for the people. He built new dams, and the highest of them all was actually now going for nuclear power. That is what even Australia is even trying to battle. But he's going for nuclear energy, which he has given the due date by 2030, right? This man came into power just within 2 years, right? And he's going for that nuclear power because he's moving into industrialization. So he said, yeah, we've actually worked out the power capacity for our people now. I want to double that power capacity. He's already thinking ahead. He's making a bold move, right? So if you want to compare that context, in Nigeria, we've been battling up NEPA for over 30 years. Nobody has gotten that mind to say, how can we fix electricity? What do we need to do? Again, it took just one person to make that bold move. Okay. Again, he now started moving. He said, okay, fine. Everything that's being exported out of Burkina Faso is being exported in raw form, like in raw materials form. Gold, cotton. Burkina Faso is actually the highest producers of cotton. You can imagine that those people, they produce cotton, they export cotton, and then they import garments. No garments, nothing was manufactured in Burkina Faso. Why? And no one is asking such questions. It's the same thing in Nigeria too. Nobody's asking some of these common questions. Why are we drilling crude oil and shipping it outside to be refined? Why can't we refine it in Nigeria? Right? So it's just some basic questions. He said he stopped all the exportation of gold. He built gold plants. And then, yeah, every gold that's been exported out must be manufactured in Burkina Faso. The same thing with textile. He stopped importation of textile, and and again, let me know if I'm giving too much because the man CV choke, right? He choke, and I
I think
can go on listing it, but yeah, I think if you want us to be discussing one at a time, I think the main thing is all it took was just one person to have the mind to start asking the right questions and implementing this thing. So let me just go running down his CV.
I think it still boils down to the people. It,
Okay.
we can say one person, but at the end of the day, he only did the coup to remove a corrupt government,
Mm.
right? And then military took over, and then they said they would conduct an election, and the people said no, stay there. We would rather have you as president. So that's how
Okay.
he remained in power. So the people of the country collectively came together and said, "This is what we want. We want this change." If if the people did not agree to that change, because think about it, right? France has been in that country, has had a stronghold on that country for a very long time.
Yep.
And what usually happens in these situations is when you have a president that's trying to fix the country, then the foreign power would now go and empower the opposition, right?
Mm-hmm.
To come and overthrow you or cause mayhem and then cause chaos. But in Burkina Faso's case now, if you have 90% of the population in support of this person, then opposition almost does not exist. And that is why he was able to say, okay, France, because the deal with France was that whatever resource, mineral resource you find in Burkina Faso, France would be the first country, right, to what do you call it, to
First
process
right
it.
of
So that's
refusal.
why,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that's why everything was being exported to France, and then France would now process it and then sell it to everybody, right?
Yep.
And then he says, no, it's no longer happening. We'll mine it in our country, process it, and then export it out. And then even if you look, so I think the people accepted him. Now, if you compare that to Nigeria, I think it's very different, right? Because we are divided across like different things. Religion first. How do you break that barrier between Hausa, between Muslim and Christian? Then you now have all these geopolitical zones that you have to bring together. So Nigeria is in that position where it's almost impossible to bring everybody together to agree on
I
one thing.
understand where you are
Wait,
coming from,
Monday,
but
Burkina
Monday,
Faso
Monday,
okay.
doesn't have that
Monday,
problem.
Monday.
They don't have it,
Before you
right?
comment, I mean, yeah, Ini.
Hmm?
Are you still going?
Me?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
so I'm just trying to say that like with Burkina Faso is a very unique situation, and in as much as I agree that every African country needs that dictatorship kind of ruler, I kind of feel like for that will not happen in Nigeria because if a Hausa man should sit there, then the other part of the country will say, "Oh no, they'll try to bring him down." If an Igbo man sits there, same thing will happen. If a Muslim sits there, Christians will not agree. I think it's it wouldn't it cannot happen in Nigeria. It can't. That's why I think I might be wrong, but I don't think it can happen. I think it might happen in other countries, but not Nigeria.
See,
Yeah.
I like the fact that you guys are Ibrahim's spokesperson, and you guys are speaking as if you guys have just finished having a toolbox, in his office. First thing first, you need to ask yourself, what's the population of Burkina Faso? Burkina Faso is 23 million. Nigeria is rumored to be more than 210 million. You cannot even compare these two countries first. How many languages do Burkina Faso speak?
We know the problems.
Wait,
No, let him
No,
land because I want to give him room to land.
I'm coming.
Then I'll just say just one thing to
and
change you people's mindset if it go
chill,
change.
relax. And then you are talking about he's done this, he's done that, he's done this. Good on him. Everything that I've read online, I actually love them. I want those things to happen in my country. But where are you getting your sources from? Have you heard from any Burkina Faso person at all? Like I tell you, for France, Burkina Faso citizens are protesting. There's so much going on in France. They are citizens. So where are you getting your data from?
Sorry, please, where did you see that?
Have you wait, chill.
Let him
land.
Let him land.
Have any journalist from Burkina Faso come out on TV to tell you all this sort of stuff? Ibrahim Traore has never done no interview in English. All the things that you've seen are just AI generated. He does not speak English. Again, there's no freedom of speech in Burkina Faso. What I'm saying, go and research.
What are you saying?
I'm coming. There's no freedom of speech. So all these things that we see and then we admire, they are probably not what it is.
Great, okay. Just one question.
Can I come in? Let me just. Can I come in?
When you tell him the thing that would destroy his life, I just want to ask him a question. Praise, please, where did you see what you said? There's no freedom of speech, and people are protesting.
Go and
where
research.
Did you see?
Go and research, and then next slide
where did
come
you
online.
see it? That's my question.
I did my research because we were
okay.
So I'm asking you where you saw it, but you cannot tell me where you saw it.
From a reputable source online.
Yes. What is a reputable source? What is that reputable source?
I'm talking BBC.
Like,
I'm talking CNN.
That's trash, man. What the fuck are you talking about? You're talking about CNN, BBC. Bro, I just knew you would talk up, and this thing just said, Monday, please, let me just say one thing, and then you can go however you want. Please, first of all, if you ever want to do any research, right, and then have an unbiased opinion of something, I think you should look at it from both sides. First. Second, if you want to find the truth, if you look at it from both sides and you still can't understand what's going on, I kind of feel like you now need to take a step back and look at the source. When CNN and BBC are telling you something, let's use Nigeria as an example. Has CNN or BBC ever reported from a good place in Nigeria? They always try to portray it as a poor country. They don't go to the beautiful places, right? If they are that meticulous with how they report, just where the reporter will stand and present the news, if they can be that bad, right, to go that far to make it look bad, why would you trust anything coming out of them? You have to understand that these media platforms are trying to sell a narrative to their own people here, so that when they want to invade a country, the citizens are okay with it. and think they are doing the right thing.
There is
No, 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 let me
there's
finish.
no
Let me
media
finish.
platform.
Let me
No.
finish.
Even Google
Let me
itself,
finish.
they have
Let me
algorithm.
finish.
There is no media platform.
But he
that
wouldn't let
will
me finish.
no, I'm telling you, there's no media platform
He
that
wouldn't
will
let
tell you what
me
you want to
finish.
know.
Let
Because
me
all these things
finish.
are controlled by people. They all have their narratives. So you cannot tell
Can
me
I
that you
land?
believe CNN or BBC
Can I finish?
just because
Can
they
I
are not
finish?
speaking your truth.
Wait,
Let me
Do you
please
understand
finish
what I
stop.
mean?
now.
I beg. I feel like you see, this is my problem with political conversations. We always
He's
go down
he's
a narrow path. Emmanuel, sorry, I'll come back to you, right? Monday is our guest. Monday had something to ask. Let's hear from Monday and then we'll come back to our opinions. Monday, you're going to say something.
Okay. So two things. Ini was saying, and I said I think Ini and Praise kind of they work like they kind of went. It's not like the same direction, but they touched that same point. Why it wouldn't work in Nigeria. Praise mentioned the population. Ini mentioned that the people were they supported Ibrahim Traore, right? But now the population of Nigerians that wants good thing. I know it's not every Nigerian that wants change. Some of them actually they like the shit that they are in. But the population of Nigerians that want a good thing,
Mhm.
and they just want light. The first question I want to ask, and I'll give room to answer. Do you think if the last election, presidential election, was free and fair, that Tinubu would have won that election? Think about it. Why do you think most people were voting for Peter Obi? If it was free and fair, do you think Peter Obi would have won the election or Tinubu would have won? Just so ponder.
Tinubu would have
Let me
won.
finish
Why do you
first.
think the
Tinubu would
election was not fair and
have
fair?
won.
Why do you think
Wait
the
now,
election was
wait.
not fair?
No,
Let me
wait.
let me
Let's
tell
actually
you. Let me tell you why I know Tinubu wouldn't have won.
why.
A lot of because I spoke with people. I can even call some people that were
Okay,
in
but
their in the
Monday,
polling
Monday.
booths, right?
Yeah, but we cannot go down that path.
Okay,
We
okay,
can't go
No,
down
why
that path.
not? Leave
Because
Monday go.
anything you want to
wait,
say now.
wait.
Monday go.
So let me let me
Go
No,
finish.
first.
because
Let me
Fred,
finish. Let me
other people
finish.
can say they also
Let
know
me
people that would have voted Tinubu.
let me
So
finish. So I know
it,
that's what I'm saying. Some people there were people that voted for Tinubu.
but
Fine, right?
I can tell
But
you
I know
why Tinubu would have still won even if it wasn't rigged. I can
okay,
tell
no,
you why.
after you can answer,
I've
right?
never seen a free and fair
Tinubu
election like the one that we just finished, brother. Yes.
praise
Yes.
before the Beavers shut
Please,
down, who
let
was leading
let
that
not let
election?
not let us not go
Okay,
down the
okay,
path of
let's not go
it
down
was
that side.
free and fair.
But
We don't care about that.
Obi was actually leading that election before they shut down those servers. They said the servers crashed, but we know fully well that the servers was shut down. Even people, so many polling units that Obi won, when they were announcing it, they just announced it clear and
Monday,
evidence was there. But
Monday.
now let me just learn why I said if there is imagine a president that will come in, right? Whether he's from Igbo or Yoruba, good roads, they speak language, electricity, they speak language. Even
He has nothing
if
to do
they
with that money.
say Nigeria is big and the population is all that, let them provide it for the people first.
There's
Let them go
something
and destroy it, and then we
Monday.
will see.
Okay, so can I speak?
Yeah.
There's something we've talked about this politics thing before. There was something I said in the last episode. I'll repeat the same thing before I even go down the path of regardless of what you think, Tinubu would have still won the election. The people that understand the problem are very few.
Mm.
People that know the problem are very, very few, right? Those people are the ones that are educated. They're on Twitter, they're on all these places, on social media. They know the problem. And those people, again, understand that Nigeria is a wealthy country, right? So it's like we know, we are very much aware of what's going on. Sadly, it's roughly, if I want to be generous, it's 20% of Nigerians that are aware of the problem and know that there's a solution to the problem. The remaining 80% are stuck in tribalism or they're unaware of the problem and have accepted poverty as the norm. They don't think there's any hope for change. So all they care about, we've gotten to the point where all we care about is my tribal person or my religious person is the one in power. That's what most people care about. The politicians are very much aware of this. They are very, very much aware that the majority of Nigerians are illiterate, and that's the what the people care about is before you talk about electricity and all those things. When it comes to the election, what they actually care about is the person's religion and his tribe. And that's why most parties try to make sure they balance it. Muslim, Christian, Hausa. Why do they do that? Because they know that is the priority for the people. That's what they care about the most. Because they know, they play along. So back to Tinubu now. Even if, I don't know if it was rigged, I'm not 100% sure about that, but Tinubu would have still won the election. Do you remember when Jonathan came into power? All
Sorry,
those,
Emmanuel, sorry,
yeah,
I'm going to interrupt you. We have 20 minutes
Don't
left in
don't
this conversation, right?
don't forget that I've not spoken. Oh,
I
Adam.
know, I
no,
know,
but
I know. That's
I'm
that's
asking
why.
on this question. I'm asking on this question.
Yes. However, Monday's question is not in alignment with what we're discussing now, right? We're trying to focus on the solutions for Africa. Like I said in the beginning, we all know the problems. Maybe today, like it's been recurring, blah 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 blah. We know what the problems are. Tinubu, Jonathan, all of them, they are great people, fantastic people. But let's keep them aside first.
Mm-hmm.
What are the solutions we're proposing that can help Africa? A lot of people on social media are saying Ibrahim Traore is what Africa needs, and they seem to be celebrating what he's doing. Apparently, from their research, they are seeing results in the 2 years that he has taken power. So I'm saying, if he's working in Burkina Faso, how can we evolve his strategy and adopt it to Nigeria? What
Adam,
can we propose?
Adam,
Yeah, go ahead,
Adam,
please.
Adam. It is very sad that a lot of Nigerians, a lot of us right now, even on this call, we choose to like who we want to like when it comes to politics. I supported Tinubu, my friend Monday, my friend Adam, and my friend Emmanuel supported Peter Obi, and I knew
I don't
how I
support
felt. I
anybody.
knew.
Just speak for
Okay,
yourself.
okay. So yeah, okay. I know for Ini, I know for Adam because they were sorry for Monday because they were vocal about it, and it's very sad that people that supported Tinubu were seen to be some particular kind of people. I don't want to go into that. You know what I mean? And I'm always coming to say, if we are practicing democratic government and you have the right to pick and choose who you want to support and vote, why can't I have the right to pick and choose who I want to vote? So with that, people that supported Peter Obi, people that supported Atiku, and people that supported Tinubu, they all have clashing mentality. No matter what Tinubu is doing, they're always going to criticize him. I just came back from Nigeria, and I can tell you that there are so much that is going on, and the country, things that I've seen, people actually doing stuff. I'm from Akwa Ibom. I've not seen no bad road in Akwa Ibom. The roads are good. Infrastructure-wise, the governor is doing well. People are getting grants. The governor just yesterday went to a particular government to give grants. He's
So,
been
Praise, we're
giving.
talking about what is
Chill.
the solution.
This is the solution. This is the solution, and also the problem. The governor is giving grants to business owners, farmers, and all this sort of stuff. You have to understand that a government cannot employ all the citizens. You just have to support businesses and grant and all this sort of stuff, which the government is doing. But people that don't like Tinubu, they will never kind of bring all these, schemes on social media just because they don't like the guy. Now, whatever Ibrahim Traore is doing, a lot of Africans are pushing that narrative just because they think this is what Ibrahim is doing. But if you look at it, a lot of African countries are doing it. We have a population problem. What Ibrahim is doing to cater for 23 million, no matter what Tinubu will do, he will never be able to cater for 200 plus million people. We are plenty. And then we
Praise,
have other issues too. I'm coming. We have
Praise,
other issues. You talk of lights. There
no,
are
Praise,
places in Nigeria
Praise,
that have
Praise,
lights,
Praise,
city lights,
Praise,
electricity.
Praise, please
There are
pause
places in
first, just for
Nigeria.
1 second.
Wait
Praise,
now.
can you pause for a second first?
When
Hear
you
me out,
spoke,
just hear
I
me
did not
out.
interrupt you.
We
Now why
don't, Praise, we don't,
I tell Adam say I never talk. You cannot
let
be
me,
interrupting me now. Let me
but
learn, my brother.
Adam's caught me halfway, right? And
No,
I
but these
paused,
have
and
issues now.
I'm
You
trying to
made your
bring
point.
us
Allow me to
back
make
to
my own
what we're
point.
supposed to be talking about.
So,
It's not about
Perez, what do you
right
think is the
or wrong.
solution? So you think the government are doing enough and they cannot cater for everybody, so there is no solution? Is that what you're saying? What is the solution, or how can we do better? Because that's what you should be discussing.
If any will allow me to land, I was heading that direction.
Okay.
See, the government, the people in power are the reflection of the people that support them. You know what I mean? The government knows the solution. And solution does not, it's not a magic. Solution happens gradually. Solutions will
This
come.
guy
Now,
took 2 years.
now, for bro, like 2 years for
God.
how many people?
Praise,
See Ghana, for example.
God.
But this one you are talking. Do you know how much Burkina Faso are owing? Burkina Faso is owing almost $60 billion. Go and check me on this.
And how much
praise,
Nigeria they
praise,
owe?
$6 billion.
wait,
Now,
guys, wait,
Nigeria, what
wait.
Burkina
This
Faso is
conversation is
what the
praise.
go and fact check. What Burkina Faso is owing now is more than Nigeria and Ghana they put together. Baba, please after this call, go and make your research. So what we
Praise.
So
Okay,
celebrate
hold on.
let's talk
on
Please,
social
solution
please,
media,
now.
pause, please,
what we celebrate on
pause,
social media is
pause.
some
Praise,
propaganda that someone just
praise.
write on Twitter, and then everybody flies the news because they like the idea of Ibrahim Traore. So all the things that Tinubu is doing will never fly because they don't like the guy. But I'm telling you for a fact that Tinubu is trying his absolute best. It's just that it's not just showing, and people don't like the guy. That's why the things is
So,
not flying.
praise, praise. Like, forgot what I wanted to say. But anyways, what we're trying to talk about, we know the problem, and we don't care if Tinubu is doing the right thing at this point or the wrong thing. Nigeria is fucked. Most African countries are fucked. What is the solution to that problem? Traore is doing well in his country. Burkina Faso is fine. People are happy. Maybe they're not happy. We don't care still. What is the solution? I think the number one thing we need to do is awareness. If people are not aware of the problem, right, then they can't hate the people in power enough to remove them from power. And it that's where it now comes down to we have all these celebrities. We have if you cannot educate the voters to be very much aware of what they are bringing, like for example, who knows what I don't think the average guy in Nigeria knows what Tinubu's policies are. I have no idea what it is. I don't think people knew what Peter Obi's policies were. All I knew was that Peter Obi was just not part of the cabal, and that was why I said, okay, fine, if it's
And he
somebody
was
different.
going to bring manufacturing. I think he was really, really clear on
And then
that.
I
He was
looked
really,
at
really
his
clear
track
on
record
that.
from his previous from running Anambra State, and I was like, okay, this guy makes sense actually. Let's vote this guy. However, some people said no, Tinubu was the better option. So I think the first one is if the people are not educated to understand what the problem is, and then how wealthy the country is, and what they are on. I think that's the first point. That's the first starting point, right? To educate those people. How do you do that? We even for example, we talked about Redeemed Church the other day. Just simple thing like Redeemed Church can't even educate their own people to say, okay, this is what Tinubu is doing. This is what Peter Obi is doing. Pick one. I was in Hillsong 2 weeks ago before this election. The pastor did not say who you should vote. But they put the link to everybody's policies and said, please, it's on the church website. Go there, click on it so you are very much aware of what you are voting. So he will not tell you who to pick,
Adam,
but at least
are you moderating? Not
they,
when I want to talk now, you will not give me time.
no,
Go
No,
on.
they
but
put
he's
that
talking
reminder there.
solutions. He's talking
They put that
solutions.
reminder there.
Yeah.
So if the churches can even try to be involved, right? Of which in Australia, churches don't even have influence like that. So imagine if our religious bodies in Nigeria became heavily involved, not in pushing a narrative or picking sides, but fixing the country, right? Just let's fix this country. Who is that person? We don't care if it's a Muslim, it's a Christian, is he going to fix the country? The imams, the pastors, everybody come together and say, this one will put him into power. All the Almajiris listen to the imams, right? Redeemed Church is very big. They have the crowd. And all these people we talked about that we say, oh, they're illiterate, they don't know this, they don't know that. You find them very, very well in the churches and in the mosques. They're there. They go there and they listen to those leaders very, very well. So if those leaders can think positively about the country and say, okay, let's fix the country and understand the fact that their own children will live in that country. I think that's the starting point, right? If you can get those religious people to convert their followers to do the right thing, educate them about voting, and then make them understand what they're bringing to power and how prosperous the country could be if so and so is elected. I believe that there will be change.
Okay.
Well,
So
I
let
like
me
to,
drop
I
my
like,
solutions.
okay,
Mm,
okay.
so
Monday, I
okay.
like to always remind people that politics is not a religion affairs. Politics is politics. A lot of churches in Nigeria do not practice politics. They don't vote. They don't intend to contest an election. That's Jehovah Witnesses, and we have churches like this. Politics is politics. Religion is religion. Let's be clear on
Yeah,
that.
but you can create awareness there, right?
I,
He's talking
wait,
about
wait,
creating
wait, 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 wait,
awareness,
wait, wait,
I
wait,
right?
wait, wait,
think
And
that,
then you
but
can
wait,
decide.
you,
the
you spoke about that.
problem with
You spoke about
Nigeria is
chill. You
beyond
spoke
the
about
church ignoring.
you spoke
It's
about
beyond it.
manifesto and all of that. Tinubu's
Yeah.
manifesto, Peter Obi manifesto, Atiku's manifesto. What they want to do is all online.
Let's talk
Nigerians don't
about
want to.
What's
solutions.
an
Let's leave
argument? Like
them.
I'm not arguing with you
I'm not
about anything. Just
I'm not saying I'm just saying that a lot of people knew about what they intended to do. Monday just spoke about industrialization. Peter Obi wanted to do. All of them spoke about industrialization. All of them spoke
yes.
about
How many
uh,
people have access to internet to go and read what these guys want to
how
do?
many people have access to bank accounts. What are you telling me?
But
It's all on
everybody
TVs
goes
and all of that.
friends, the number of people that go to mosque and churches, right? The people that go to mosque and churches, those people understand, like they listen more to these religious leaders. The, the,
They spoke about they speak about religion
wait,
in churches and even
Okay.
in mosques.
Let
how
me drop my solution. Me, I would like to hear Prezi's solution because he's not dropped any solution. Okay. Let me drop my solution before the time drops. I know say Adam is looking at the time,
and
the
the
way his eyes is
people that
doing.
want to even join the live, they have been
So
putting comments.
so to me, right, the way I'm looking at this from the top, I'm like, I think we can agree that poverty, greed, and ignorance, right? It's a huge factor with what's going on because obviously these politicians, they know if we have these people, with time for election, they will give small money. Okay, give money, people will cross carpet to APC and all those stuffs. Two things. One is I still believe it takes one person. I will use Akpabio as an example, right? So that is my first solution. That if the right person becomes our president with the right mind, when Akwa Ibom State was not really known, Akpabio came. When he came, he said, "I'm going to put Akwa Ibom in the map." What did he do? What strategies did he do to put Akwa Ibom in the map? He built the international stadium. Today, 80% of matches that are played in Nigeria are played in Akwa Ibom, right? But that is a big project that someone has to do. Oh, I'm
Massive
going to
effort.
do this. He did it. I'm going to do it. So whether he stole 100 billion, people did not care. What he did was evident. And that's where I'm telling you people are like, I know we are divided, the population is there, but imagine a president comes in and say, look, I'm going to tackle electricity in 3 years. We are going to build a task force to solve this problem. And if we don't do it, if after 3 years that team can do it, we sack them and we change till we get a solution. We are going to tackle this. Like, you just make sure you are taking those bold initiatives. But obviously, you need to have like a good team that can work out this thing. So let me not go deep into that, but I believe that can be part of the solution. Having the right person with the right heart that understands that they can build a team and make things happen. That is solution one that I think. The second solution there is creating awareness that you don't actually need to depend on your leaders. If you look at the youths today, see Obi Kubana did birthday, people will go, they will give 100 million, they will give this, they will give this, which is good. But if they tell those same people, come, let's all bring 100 million together and think of a project that we can start, maybe in a village or something that can create jobs and be educating people. So because education is not only about, you don't have to only educate politics. when the lifestyle of people change, their mentality, what they are exposed to, changes too. Let me use, for example, people that work for me, right, at MEMA. I've seen people that came from even from high school. There are people that, yeah, they've even finished HND. They've not used Excel before. I had to train them on how to use Google Sheets. I provided internet for them. Like literally, I'm always thinking of what can I do to elevate their mindset. Where I'm coming from is the youth. If we actually encourage the youth and say, look, you don't need to depend on your leaders. We can come together and say, oh, yeah, there's poverty, there's no money. What can we do that can create money? What can we do? What can we do that can maybe encourage like enlighten the way we think? What can we do that can make our lives better? People can come together and say, oh, maybe for this village, um, I have like I know people that in Akwa Ibom that build actually inverters, and they were looking for sponsors to go to villages and do what they call rechargeable charging booths, so people can actually just go there, plug their phones, have connectivity and things like that. So if we actually start when we are doing the enlightenment, right? It's not only about what can the leaders do. We should actually be asking what can we do ourselves to help increase our livelihood and
So
also increase our awareness.
as much as we want to what do you call it, do all this awareness and all that stuff, I still think again the majority of the population is not going to buy into all these things.
Can I can I
They
can
not.
I
If you cannot break that barrier between religion and tribes, it's not, nothing is going to change in
But you don't
Nigeria.
need to break it,
You
man.
have to
Adam,
I beg,
break
I want
it.
to hear, from
Adam,
Praise. Praise has
Adam,
solution for us. Please keep
like
it
just
punchy.
just quick one, very punchy. I don't want to delve into who won the election, previous elections, and all of that, who voted for who, and all of that. We all know how that went on. Anyway, so to keep it punchy, as Adam has said, the solution for me, I've done for. So education and awareness is one big thing for me. If the citizens are educated, the leaders are educated, then we will be able to hold people in power accountable. Holding people in power accountable is the second solution now. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to get involved. They always will say it's not in my backyard. You know, if politics happen to you, you become rich, you go and give thanksgiving in church. Miracle don't happen for you. Let me tell you, something happened in Gambia. A politician was sick, diagnosed of cancer. I think he stepped down for like 6 months and all of that. He traveled to Germany, got treatment, came back home to Africa, and instead of him building a hospital, he now built a church. The people were happy. You know what I mean? He went to Germany to get a treatment, but when he came back home, he now built a church. There was no accountability. People were not holding him accountable because there is no awareness. So religion is a big factor. That is why I said religion and politics shouldn't come together. People get involved, get to know your leaders. How many of you on this call know your councillors? How many of you know your ward chairman? How many of you know your local government chairman? How many of you even know your house members, your senators, your governors? No, we all know Tinubu. That is the only person that we know. But election politics is very, very local. It starts from the ward. Are we even registered? So you come and talk politics. Are you even a ward member? Do you know your ward people? Do you go? Do you get involved? You don't get involved. So you get involved. That is when you are able to contribute. Have voters that get involved. Then private and well-meaning citizens. Monday had said it. Private and well-meaning citizens should come in and invest. It's not when they talk about Nigeria, everybody's like, nah, don't go and invest in Nigeria, your money go lost. Get involved, invest. In America, there's a popular quote, I think President Lincoln said it. It's not about what America will do for you. What can you do for America? That is it. What can you do? Get involved. A lot of people don't want to get involved, but a lot of countries today, they get involved because of well-meaning private citizens that have invested. Monday made example of people going to give will be 100 million and all of that, but if you ask the same people to put even 10 million to better the life of their community people, they would not, just because everybody just want to be selfish and want to get noticed. So these are my solutions.
Can I say
Quick,
something?
punchy, let's move.
I think Like, I think we're looking at this thing like white people. You think investment is what saves the country. Investment saves nothing. People have been investing in, foreign investors have been investing in Nigeria for the last 60 years. They've been investing. Shell, Chevron, Unilever, whatever you want to call. All these companies have been investing. It's gotten to the choke point. They are now leaving the country. So investing is not the problem. Knowing your local government chairman, again, it's not the problem. If you cannot fix the top, the person at the top, if you cannot fix it, if you
Text
cannot
the
change the way you
right
think
people.
as a
Yep.
person, you cannot change your thinking, if you cannot have that constant reminder of how bad the country is and how good it could be, if that constant reminder
And
is not
look,
there,
I can drop in
not,
case they want to
you
add
will not get
someone
it on
because
the
it
news.
looks like
You
some
will not,
people want to jump in. Sorry, no.
you won't get it on the news. You will not get that on the news because the news channel is something somebody can go and shut down. You will not get it there. They don't want to be the targets of the government. If the churches, again, I know why I'm saying religion because that's where people gather the most. If it becomes a regular reminder in the churches, in the mosques, if the imams, the sultans, the obas, and the rest of them are constantly reminding their people of these things, you have to remember that everyone at the top is benefiting. So they have to change first. So even the people in the churches, the obas, they're all part of the whole problem. If those,
Emmanuel, Emmanuel,
yeah,
your audio cut out for a quick sec. Monday, Omo, thank you so much. I feel like now you don't contribute the most. I think it's unfair for us to have people in the comment section that want to contribute and then we
Yeah,
can't hear
no,
from
no.
them.
Let's hear
Yeah.
from them. I agree. If me, I can drop even press because press is already biased. You can kick press on them. I'm happy to drop.
no,
Big
this
game,
Let's
is
big
him,
on like
game, game
let's
somebody
man.
was,
him,
You
let's
have
him
mic.
go and play the politics at home. But
Emmanuel,
yeah,
No, but
I can
Monday.
drop. I'm
Emmanuel,
still
thank you
it's
listening.
just
so much.
saying
Thank
the
you so
truth.
much.
It's just saying the truth.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's actually funny when I listen to what Praise said. Like I've always known he's an APC member, so I don't normally bother myself about him. I just look at him and then tell him the problem. Now, Praise said something, and he said the stuff that people say about Ibrahim Traore is propaganda. But if you go through YouTube, you'll see there's a YouTuber, a Ghanaian YouTuber. His name is Wodemaya. He's actually really known. It's one popular YouTuber that goes through different countries in Africa to showcase African culture and African people and Africa as a whole. He's been to Burkina Faso. He's actually talked about this, but that's not where I'm actually driving to. Where I am going towards is I've seen the different stuff. Praise comes in here, quotes different stuff. Now, Nigeria as a whole, they've the different APC or the Nigerian government, their social media pages have posted IMF projection, and they've placed Nigeria in number 3 in world's fastest growing economy. Now, when you look at that number, what it tells you is Nigeria has a 3.0% projected growth for 2025. But what they didn't tell you is what the number was in 2024. It was around 3.4. The projection for 2024 was 3.4%. The projection for 2025 is 3.0, and they keep beating around that. But did they tell you what the projection for 2026 is? It is 2.7. That means they are looking at the economy and they are telling us that we're going down. Now, we don't want to even beat around. I'll drop off once I say what I want to say. The problem in Nigeria is we have so many individuals that are not enlightened. They're not educated enough for us to actually, we have the numbers. We don't just have the numbers of educated people to actually look at a government and say, okay, this government is performing. It's just like you said when you went to Hillsong and they gave you guys the link. We don't have those stuff. We just have people who go around and then they tell you, oh, this is my tribal person. You have to vote Emilokan. As in Peter Obi is an Igbo man. He doesn't do well. But if you look in the last 2023 election, 2015 election, 2011 election, they've actually mentioned there's like 3 states in the north. They call them the KKK, and they provide millions. Yeah, they provide millions of votes, millions. And you just look at it, and then you go there and you ask, like, why is it that if you look at those states, they provide millions of votes, and then you go back there and you look at the states, they also have more poverty. we need to start looking at Nigeria, and we need to start educating Nigerians from when they are young. We don't look at it from the university. We look at it from when they are young. Make sure you build that brain up. If you don't build that brain up, when you go in and you have elections, you get people that you haven't actually enlightened when they are young. Anything you tell them, they're going to do. If you tell them to vote for a particular person, don't vote for them. I would have to drop off now because I'm not feeling fine. But yeah, thank you for the platform, and
Wait,
thank
now
you for guys.
Mo appreciate you for joining first. Thank you. Like
You
honestly,
ju-
I like what you said, and there's some sense to it. But I'll allow Praise to respond since now your
But
guy.
I reached out.
yeah, I'll just
I reached out to William, and he told me that he's not
see.
going to join today
Yeah,
because he's
because
sick. And now you are coming to attack
yeah.
me. But that's fine.
No,
I'm
I'm not.
forgiving you.
Wait,
How is
I'm not feeling fine. In 20, I see someone talking about they said military regime is military role is better for Africa. I don't think it's the military role that is better for Africa. I think it's a system of government that we're using and the people who are behind it. As in, there are so many problems. Africa as a whole, it has the resource. I researched about Africa like years ago, few months ago, a few weeks ago, and what I did find is we have one of the highest resources, natural resources in the world. Our climate conditions is actually better. It's
the,
better. You can go to Africa.
the best place in the world?
Yeah,
William,
yeah.
That's
But
true.
William. These are not facts. I just wanted
wait.
to respond with the IMF that you just projected, right?
Mhm.
I
No,
like
but
the
that
fact that I like the fact that you've said this.
Wait.
But then
Let me.
again, but then because we were talking about Burkina Faso, right?
Mhm.
But the thing is that, right? Have you actually looked at how much? Because I said this. Please, can you go and research and then
Yeah.
DM? Can you research
Now
about
this.
how much this Burkina Faso are owing,
Yeah.
how much Nigeria is
You.
owing, and how
Yeah.
much
You
Burkina
mentioned.
Faso are owing too?
Now
okay.
But like, because
this
we
is
need to be clear because
praise.
This is
Praise. Praise.
no,
okay,
no, 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 no. We
I'll
will
be
not have
sincere.
this
I don't.
today.
I'll be
I'm
It's
not
not
going to.
happening.
I'm not going to debate with him. I'm going to say, praise those amounts you're calling. Those amounts you're calling. Are those the amount that were accrued for the past 2 years that Ibrahim Traore was the president? Because if you follow through those numbers, you'd find out that Ibrahim Traore has paid off the internal debt of Burkina Faso. In fact, the debt was even higher before he
Okay,
came
okay,
in.
okay. We have
Now,
John now.
yes, okay, let me leave it.
He's picking
Give me
up.
1 minute.
Let me answer this question. Burkina Faso's debt is $5.6 billion. Nigeria is $118 billion. Out of the 5.6 billion, I was in Ouagadougou last three
Mhm.
weeks. Right now, I'm in Cairo. I was in Congo Brazzaville. I'm touring the whole of Africa. So I find it very, 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 very bad when I see people who know the problem, because I know Praise knows the problem. He understands the problem. Maybe because of
No.
his political alliance or his relationship with certain people, he feels he can come here and bamboozle Nigerians. You're talking about group of leaders that have absolutely no clue what to do. Ibrahim Traore, from the onset of independence of Burkina Faso from 1960 till date, only 3,000 kilometers of road has been built in Burkina Faso. This guy has
It's actually
proposed to build
5,000.
5,000 kilometers every
Yeah.
fucking year, and he's doing
Yeah.
it. And he's
And
telling
that,
the
and
Burkina
that,
babes, he's telling
yeah,
Burkina babes,
yeah.
he's telling Burkina babes that,
And that's,
listen,
yeah, it's
I'm not
using
going
its
to borrow
citizens
money to do
and they're
this.
using their
I'm not going to
equipment.
borrow money to do it. I will make sure I sell what we have to do it. If it's gold we have, I'll sell the gold. I'll make sure we generate this money. If we cannot generate the money, we will come and build it ourselves with our bare hands.
No, but
You cannot compare Ibrahim Traore with Tinubu. You're talking about a human being and an asshole. Like seriously. How can we sit down here and compare an icon, a
uh,
continental icon, and a
oh
group
yeah,
of donkeys?
now you're overstretching it. See,
No, 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 no,
one
bro,
stuff.
bro.
No,
I,
this
I,
is
I,
no. I do.
Okay, okay, okay.
I
Wait.
had this,
Let me
I
say
had
What's
this.
this,
the
Let me say
solution to
this.
the problem? We're not here to talk about the
don't say
problem.
something. I had this boss talking about the youth coming to invest. Investments in every country in the world is tied to one thing: guaranteed return on investment. Guaranteed return on investment is tied to one thing: security. Security. I'm not going to bring my money. I'm not going to want to go and invest. I go and invest in Yemen. When I know one day the bank I'm banking with them, I just throw bomb on it and that's the end of my investment. You're talking about the government that does not care about the lives and properties of its citizens. A government that people are being killed and they're traveling to Rome to bury a dead man? Like, seriously, make it
Okay,
make sense to me.
okay,
We don't have
wait. What is the solution? We know the problem.
Yeah.
Choke
Solution.
problem.
Solution to our problem is we don't need one person like your guy said the last time. He said if you have one person, he used the case study of Akwa Ibom, compared Akwa Ibom to the full Nigeria. I don't think while I respect that case study, I don't think that case study would actually give you the full picture because that's Akwa Ibom. Most of you guys in there speak just one language and maybe a few different languages, and it's not much compared to the full Nigeria where you have different religion and different tribes.
Diversity is our problem.
The diversity is big, number one. The illiteracy, number two, is wide again, as in you have those two there. Now, if we're talking about solutions to Nigerian problem, we have several solutions. Like if we're going to propose, number one, we need many of Ibrahim Traore. We need people who can actually not have their hands dirty and then be blackmailed to do other people's greedy biddings. That's number one. Number two, we need citizens who are ready to actually see a goal and be ready to stay focused on those goals. If you compare our democracy and we look at our military regime, each of our military generals have actually come, except for Buhari though, each of them have actually come in and they've set a different mandate. Like I think there was war against indiscipline when we had it back in the 70s. The Aso Villa was built by Ibrahim Babangida. And it was there, still there. Which your APC man praised, they're collecting rent for.
Okay. But
For me,
wait, I think with Chris,
yeah.
do you have any response to this first?
So,
Now I'm here. I mean, like, I've
Okay.
solutions for
I've
me.
already,
Look,
So
solutions
let's
for
I've
me.
already
ask
mentioned,
John.
I've already
John,
mentioned, I've
you've
already
said
mentioned
everything you wanted to say now, which we agree with. What's the solution to the problem?
Solution
the
for me
solution to
is
that. The
education.
solution to this, okay, sorry, bro.
Solution, yeah, it's all right. Solution for me is education. That's what I think. I think our children. For me, I've written off our generation. I don't think there's anything we'd get from Nigeria. I think our generation has to sit up. I still see many youths who don't understand the impact of what every decisions that have been made up to this point, especially in the case of Nigeria. They don't know the impact those decisions will have in the next few years, few decades for them. Our generation is done and dusted when it comes to whether Nigeria or Africa would go forward. I think the next generation is where we should work on. That's what I think. So I think education is key here, and I would leave it at that.
All right,
no,
John.
I was just trying to say,
For
John,
me,
before
for
you,
me, a person. Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, the Chris wants to talk.
before you comment, I just wanted to say, look, man, like I like the energy that John brought. I know John. I've been kind of following him, on that his phrases life and all of that. I
Leave my
understand his
guy.
passion and all of that.
Leave my
But
guy. But
John,
when
you
it
had it,
comes to politics,
you had a candidate, right? And
yes.
Nigerian problem did not start 2 years ago. Nigerian problem has always been a Nigerian problem. Even our forefathers, our parents were always hoping and praying for Nigerian solution. So all these problems have compounded. These problems have, how you heap and heap and heap and heap and heap. So I do not
Praise,
see
praise,
whether it
praise.
was
Can I ask you?
whether it was Peter Obi that would have been the president, Atiku and all of that. I did not see no miracle. What I said was that it takes time
Praise,
and
praise. Can I?
policies. It
I want
takes
us to
time, it
have a
takes
conversation.
policies and
I,
all of
I,
that. So
I want us to. I want us to have a conversation because that's the only way we can actually. You can actually convince me to your side, or I can convince you to my side. Hmm? Now, what I'm saying is, I'll give you an example. You bought a bus from Yaba to Warri. Huh? The driver sets off and starts moving towards Badagry. Are you regressing or you're progressing? Obviously, you're regressing because you're going the opposite direction.
yep.
Now, if you now realize that driver is sleepy and change the driver, the next driver, what do you expect him to do? Change his direction towards Warri. But if that driver now starts heading from Badagry towards Togo, this is the problem. We had Buhari who was regressing our economy. We
What is
want
the solution?
we want a change.
How can
We brought someone
we get a
who,
better driver?
okay, the way we can only get a better driver via one, education. But education is not possible because these men understand that if they invest in education, the people will be enlightened and know what they deserve and go for what they deserve. So they have crippled crippled all our educational system. Nigerian education, most of us that are here went to federal government colleges, where our civil service parents can dip their hands in their back pocket and pay our school fees and walk into the school for the term from their back pockets. But now it's no longer that way. That was why they killed the federal government colleges. I will tell you here, and I will say it without fear of people, the military had better intentions for Nigeria than civilians. These civilians,
I agree with
the military
100%.
better intentions for Nigerians than the civilians. We went after the Civil War, the military started unity colleges, federal government colleges, to unite Nigerians back. That is why you cannot come and tell me that Abdullahi, my friend, that used to cook Indomie behind Bruno House last apartment when there's no food in the dining hall is the problem with Nigeria. No. I know he's not the problem because I lived with him, I grew up with him, because I went to a unity college. And you bring people who you're telling me that politicians who open their mouth and say that an Igbo man should not vote in Lagos. If Igbo men do this one, throw them into the lagoon. And you're comparing them with these military men. See, these people know what they're doing. They're killing our educational apparatus so that we won't be enlightened. We won't even know what we deserve. And because we don't know what we deserve, our youths are on TikTok showing their breasts and twerking and shaking their nyash, while their commonwealth is being siphoned by the three arms of government, Tinubu, Abio, and Wike. Those are the three arms of government. These are our three arms of government.
Tinubu, I think
Abio, and Wike. Because Wike controls the judiciary,
we've
Abio controls the legislative arm of government. Tinubu
we've got
controls
past the time. Cool. So I think we have to revisit this at some point, and then maybe we'll have bring you on, and then you can say more. So don't piss you off.
Really sad. It's really, really sad. It's really, really sad. Look, I'm in Cairo at the moment. Egypt is London compared to Lagos. New Cairo, Alexandria. These are what Egypt is doing. They leave the suburbs and go and create a brand new city. When Peter Obi said he was going to Egypt to study what they did with electricity, now I understand. Because light does not go off in Egypt. And don't tell me their population. They are about 160 million people. So they have the population, they have the consumption, and they have electricity. But when Peter B said he was coming to Egypt to understudy them, a third world country that has almost the same population with Nigeria and is doing it, I want to come and see what they're doing differently. APC people say, hey. Now, I pay almost 600,000 naira to have steady electricity in my house in Lagos.
God damn.
That I can do it doesn't mean that others can.
Ooh. Okay, guys.
We are in a deep shit if we don't know. The earlier we realize that, the better.
We'll wrap it up now. Praise, do you have anything to respond? To say?
I'm just saying, just whoever that is coming to lead Nigeria, we just have to give it time and be patient. That's it. Because Nigeria has long gone. We are in the repairing phase. So whether it was Peter Obi that was the president, everybody should have been on Peter Obi's side to give him support. So people should be on Tinubu's side to give him support, because Nigeria is not going to happen as a miracle. It's going to take time. That's my closing statement.
How can I support a man that does not give me confidence to depend on the last hope of the common man, the judiciary?
But then
again,
the judiciary.
The only hope a common man has.
If we want to talk about the judiciary, right? Like, that's the last hope of a common man, and it's very independent. Whether it is being
the judiciary is not independent. Go to Abuja, Go to Abuja, drive through Katampe, By the right, you see where they're building houses for judges. If the judiciary was independent, this executive arm of government has no freaking business.
I'm not gonna allege.
How will you build
guys?
That is the court of competence jurisdiction. So if the court of competence jurisdiction says that they are independent, I want to believe that they are independent. So I'm saying everybody should give everybody time.
A court of competence jurisdiction does not need to tell me they are independent or not. Their actions should tell me if they are independent or not. Their actions should tell me they are independent or not. A court cannot tell me they are independent. Their actions should. INEC cannot tell me they are independent.
But that's what
because their actions tells me they are not.
That's what
their
they
actions
say.
tells
If INEC
me
is,
they are not.
if INEC is independent, INEC is independent. That's what it is.
INEC is not. I mean, the guys are appointed by the president. So what are we talking about?
They should be independent. They should be non-partisan as INEC, and that's on paper. So I'm not going to sit down and say they are not just because.
All right, guys.
You know.
Okay, that's fine. I think at this point we'll come to an end. Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. Always,
John,
always, always good
thanks,
to have you on.
Brave,
Thank you
thanks,
so
Monday,
much.
thanks
Enjoy
everyone.
Cairo.
Good night.